Okay. All right. So, folks at home, I'm hoping you can see what we're up to here. The idea is we were going to work through a lab demo here with our Zoom session. I don't know if the screen is able to be captured or not. I'm hoping it is, but I'll have to check it out later. But Matt is checked in here tonight, so you'll see him on here. But what we're going to do is briefly go through the assignment here. And one of the first things, again, that you'll have to do is go into Twitter. And if you don't have a Twitter account, you have to create one and make sure that if you're working on your laptop or desktop computer at home, that you sign into Twitter from that account or from your computer. And so once you are logged into Twitter, you'll go to the social bearing site that I reference here. And in the upper corner, up in your upper right hand part of your screen there, you'll select log in. And once you log in, you'll end up going to the main page here. I'm just going to, Matt, go back to that. And what we're interested in is certainly we can explore the geo tweets like I did in the other session, but for now we're just going to look at tweets. And one of the big items here as of late is turkey hunting. So we're just going to run a overall search for that. And so with that, I'm going to load in the instruction. I refer to this load more option, and just going to click on this a few times, bring in a handful of tweets. We can go back up to about 9 or 10 days with all this information, just as a recap. And Matt and I were just sharing about some of the different ways in which you can use the social bearing sentiment analysis. And on the screen, we have our time frame and our reach and our impressions, which are simply the amount of views that this is getting you through hashtags or someone retweeting. And over here on the side, you can actually filter these out so you're not seeing duplicate tweets and replies and mentions and all that. You can just look at the plain tweets. Well, one of the things Matt and I talked about doing to analyze some of this data, it's fine if you want to take what's right here, tweets by sentiment, tweets by type, you can download these images and talk about them. What we're not really able to vet are the algorithm's ability to effectively process the tweets. So we don't exactly know for sure how words are being interpreted. So what we did is we clicked on the export CSV of the loaded tweets here. And so this is located right at the top up there, the little green arrow where it says, looks like export CSV. And once that happens, you'll be able to see a download. And I'm just hoping this records for us here. You'll see a screen. Move my window over here. That'll look like this. And this is common to the other session that I recorded there. So I have 63 tweets here. I think there were actually more in the demo that I pulled up on the screen because I loaded more. Here there are 385, but in the version Matt and I were working through, I pulled out 63 tweets that came out without loading up a whole lot. So the interesting thing about this is the sentiment for turkey hunting in general coded a majority of neutral, most neutral, good or great, only with a few being bad or terrible. And so we were interested in figuring out what that meant. So simply scroll down on your spreadsheet. And here's really where it gets interesting. In the sentiment column over here, you're able to see all these ones and zeros. And I think by way of the coding classification in the social bearing website, if I pull that up, they have 5 different categories that you see: great, good, neutral, bad, and terrible. So, five of those. And the coding of sentiment is broken down kind of in a weird way here, I guess, to think about this, but -1 is your lowest, so that would be terrible or bad. And then your highest would be a 3. So 3 is the absolute highest, and then 2 is still okay, 1 is neutral, 0 is bad, and -1 is terrible. So one of the things we looked at, what you could explore for your activity assignment number 8 here, is actually select a handful of tweets and actually analyze the algorithm's prediction, or the algorithm sentiment prediction of the tweets compared to what you are perceiving a tweet to be. So what you could do is copy this out of here, copy all these tweets out of here and paste in a new document if you wanted, or insert a new row in here. Just right click and insert. And you could compare like an updated sentiment ranking. So for example, what we looked at is here's a score of -1, which is really terrible. And so we looked at that to try to explain why did that tweet, I just expanded this tweet column right up here, just to open that up so we could see what the tweet was about. It said, anyone give a gobbler a headache over the weekend? So bad for the turkey, headache, but the tweet, the person who was tweeting turkey hunting was perceiving this as a kind of like a motivational, a lot of jubilance, excitement to go out and turkey hunt. So depending on how you wanted to approach this from a standpoint of turkey hunting, this would be not perceived as a terrible tweet at all. You know, they're looking at headache and maybe comparing that to a gobbler or not, but headache, negative connotation. So you could go back and recode this as being either a good tweet or a generally positive tweet. And in the end, you could state, okay, if I looked at 65 tweets total, or 100 or whatever it is, maybe you found that the algorithm incorrectly coded 25% of the tweets as something bad or terrible, when in fact they should have been neutral or good. Or likewise, there could have been a really good tweet that could be interpreted as bad as well. So that would be a really, really cool sentiment analysis to check how well that the social bearing algorithm that they're running to actually generate that sentiment is coming out for you to look at. So it's a little sidebar on that. And so I'm going to pause the recording. And if we have some other good things to add, we'll come right back to it. All right, welcome back, folks. Matt and I were talking about what were some other cool ways that you can analyze some of this data, downloaded data from the sentiment analysis. And we're talking about the type of device that was used to make those tweets, or maybe it was a web page or what have you, but maybe something kind of cool here would be even to look at the source of those tweets and see what were the phones or devices or websites that were making most of those posts. But even more to that, we talked about how interesting it might be to just take a look at sentiment towards iPhones, sentiment towards Android, and then see if those sentiments were actually coming from a source of iPhones or Androids or not. You know, were more positive vibes coming from iPhones, or were more negative things coming from iPhones or Androids, or some combination thereof. So that might be really a cool thing to look at, the source of tweets if they were based on a phone, a smartphone. Just looking at the two comparables there. So that was another thing we brought up here in our discussion. All right, we're back again, folks at home, and I minimized our Zoom window just in case that wasn't being recorded before, so that at least you can see what's going on behind the scene here. But we, first off, there created a Twitter account and then went into our social bearing, just in recap if you didn't see that. Here was the download CSV that we were looking at here just before, if we weren't able to see that. And part of our discussion here was, again, comparing the sentiment scores to if here's a -1, you know, rain forecasted. Are they looking at rain as a bad thing or as a good thing here? You know, we don't really know. But so part of what we're looking at are these sentiments really, really true? And so we're looking at deciphering and actually making sense of that data ourselves. And Matt had a good question that he brought up, as we were looking at this particular search on turkey hunting. But Matt, if you'd state your question there again. Yeah, great question, Matt. Thanks for asking that. So there are plain tweets, which are essentially going to be they're going to be filtered just according to the source of origination, and then retweets would be people tweeting again what somebody else tweeted or posted or something, and then replies would be to an existing tweet. And when the short answer to Matt's question is anytime that we may update or alter our data, new information is going to be populated into that. Although when I did that before, if I just went to plain tweets and then exported those, I actually got, I believe, all of that data, Matt. But if we were to, so you would get all the retweets, replies, and whatnot. So I think you're getting the whole ball of wax and the links and geolocations and all that stuff. So I think you would get everything when you download that into CSV. But if you go back and upload or load in more tweets or change a little bit of style of your sharing, that will impact the number of tweets that you'll get because there's more information coming in all the time on your topic, which for us happens to be turkey hunting, but turkey hunting is very popular right now. That's why we're interested in looking at that. So the short answer is I think so. If you don't reset or repopulate anything, you would get all of the tweets and retweets simply because we have here my original data that I looked at had only 63 tweets, and I did click just the plain tweets, but I still, well, maybe Matt, maybe I stand corrected here. Yeah, I think I stand corrected. It shows here that plain tweets were 63 for me, and I do remember going into the plain tweets and bringing those out, and that's what I had. Let's try a demo of that. So I'm looking at all. Let's not filter that. So yeah, I think that is correct. So here we have all tweets, 385. If I just wanted the plain tweets, let's try that. Let's export that out. I stand corrected, everyone. Stand corrected. So here we have our 269 plain tweets. So we should, if we summed these up right here, we should have 269 of those. Just checking this just to make sure. Well, we're getting down there. We have a ton, whatever the difference is from where I left off there, from 400. Oh, sure, sure. Yep. Okay, sure. That makes sense there. Good observation on that. So same data. Okay. Okay. There's always something to discover in here, that's for sure. So in general, that was another insight maybe to explore and look at. We talked about some of the replies being potentially valuable too, as contributing to that conversation with other hashtags of that could bring in some negativity as well. So something to consider. So just so folks at home understood that, Matt and I were just visiting here, that even though if you do filter some of those, they may show up in the social bearing site down below, but if you export all that data, everything's going to come with it to report out all the different summary statistic information. One last thing at home for folks, if you're interested in analyzing and kind of comparing and contrast the actual algorithm predicted sentiment to that of your own sentiment, and just vetting those tweets in your downloadable spreadsheet, under the FAQs for how tweets are calculated, this might be interesting for you to take a look at. In particular, that the person that so graciously built this site for us to use for free has this bagwords technique, where you see where my cursor is here, and really looking at how words are being filtered and added together to create a general overall score. So really positive and negative words in a tweet that are set up in the processing algorithm, and they're counted and then they're added together to give an overall score. So what those words are, I do not know, but the author here does suggest that he plans to redo this and then starting to match emojis or icons or other different patterns to make this a little bit more refined. So that's kind of what you're comparing it to, the mass process versus maybe the percent of tweets that are predicted accurately. So again, it's not what you have to do. These are just ideas to be creative, and hopefully it helps you out in that manner. All right. So we had a few good items discussed here this evening in our optional help session, and so we recorded that midway through. I thought there were some good things that we'd like to share out with the rest of you about how to maybe approach activity assignment number 8, perhaps. Just another direction. There's really no wrong way to do any of this. There are just creative ways to explore how sentiment is expressed. So have fun, look at different topics. Let me know if you have any problems logging in or going through anything, as that's what I'm here to do, is to try to help. So hopefully you have enough to have some fun and see where the week goes. So have a good rest of the week, everybody.